Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. It's Booker Prize, baby! It's official, Booker Prize 2023 season is officially upon us, which means we have round after round of prediction videos, long list reaction videos, reading the long list videos, shortlist reaction videos, and I expect to have a riotous time all round. I expect, demand and want good things from the Booker Prize this year. I want to be introduced to some new books that I haven't read before, which is almost certainly a given, but I don't want it to be a flop. Not naming any names, but there have been some prizes this year that have been a flop. I would like a juicy, chunky selection of, let's say 6. I'd be happy with 6. Let's get 6 books that I like from this year's Booker Longlist. So the Booker Longlist is revealed in August, I believe the 1st or 2nd of August, but I'm pretty sure it's the 1st. So we, as of posting this video, we are about 1 month to 6 weeks away from that reveal. So why not give you my predictions for what I think is going to be on this list, which will probably be wildly inaccurate, but oh well. I'm here in Bali, so I can tap into the spiritual realm and, try and become clairvoyant in this 20-minute video. So, my first prediction, which I'm not sure many people are talking about, I don't think I've heard a single person, maybe Eric, talk about Cormac McCarthy's new book/books, because they're both actually eligible for this year's Booker. Cormac McCarthy has released The Passenger and Stella Maris, both within the last 12 months. Their eligibility dates fall within the Booker eligibility, and so I expect no less than at least one place on this year's long list going to Cormac McCarthy. I mean, he is a living legend at this point. Who hasn't read a Cormac McCarthy book? And even if you don't particularly like his writing, for me it goes way over my head and it makes me feel incredibly dumb. Or if you absolutely love it and he's your favourite writer of all time, I feel like you're on either end of the spectrum. I've never met someone who's kind of like middle of the road meh about Cormac McCarthy. So he's getting the #1 spot. Then the second spot I feel is going to the probably second most obvious author for this year's Booker Prize, and that is Barbara Kingsolver. I believe she's either won or been nominated before. I don't think she's won actually, but I think she has been nominated. And of course she's won the Women's Prize. At the time of filming this, I don't know if she's won her second Women's Prize with this 2023 one. So then I feel like the third most obvious choice would be Victory City by Salman Rushdie. The Booker is nothing if not political. We all know what happened to Salman Rushdie last year. If that doesn't factor in to him getting a nomination this year, I don't know what does. I would be shocked if he is not on this list, because he was almost killed for his writing. He has won this prize before. It would be a legitimate nomination regardless of the political angle, and his new novel Victory City sounds fantastic. It blends fantasy, it blends magical realism, historical fiction, and these are all things that Salman Rushdie not only excels at, but he has won for these genres before. And so he is one hell of a writer, and how can he not be on the long list? So I feel like I've gotten to my 3 most obvious ones out of the way first, and now we're into the Wild West. Like, there are going to be shootouts, there can be wild cards, who knows what is going to be rolling past with the tumbleweed. So the first one I think is going to be coming out of the US. This is Rebecca Makkai's I Have Some Questions for You. There has been division over this book, to say the least. Some people have given it 5 stars, best book of the year, think it's absolutely fantastic. Some people think it was just awful. Pacing issues, boring, all of these sorts of things. So I have sampled this, and it's in the latter half for me. It's in the pacing issues, boring, why am I 20% through this novel and we haven't gotten going yet. It's dense, it's like wading through mud. But Booker likes books that are challenging in some way, and some people love it. So I have to include all the books, the ones that I don't really like and the ones that I do enjoy. There will actually be a separate video coming out from me where I'm going to give you my Booker Prize wish list, which is the books that I actually want to read and I actually want to see on this list, just to kind of give me an excuse to read them faster. So there will be a separate video on this. So if you're confused why I am blending books together that I have read and DNF'd or haven't read and want to read, then that's why, because my predictions are literally just what I think is going to be on the list and not what I want to be on the list. That video is coming separately in probably 2 weeks. So the next author on this list got a lot of buzz when his book was released back in January, I believe, and this is The Shards by Easton Ellis. He had a very popular novel released ages ago, American Psycho. Ellis's novel itself is a kind of mystery thriller horror and tracks a group of young people's lives as a serial killer reigns across 1980s Los Angeles. But The Shards, I believe, is very autobiographical in tone. I believe what happens in the book actually happened to Ellis at some point during his youth. The hype around this book really seemed to burst at the beginning of the year and then has dwindled down to nothing, and you know we're only sort of in June. Trespasses by Louise Kennedy is one that I'm reluctant to put on the list, but I feel has literary merit despite me not particularly enjoying it. So this is going on the list because it is political, it is literary. Irish books have traditionally done well with the Booker Prize, and so this is kind of why I'm giving it this spot. Next on the list I have put Paul Harding's This Other Eden, and it says here is a novel inspired by the forced resettlement of a mixed-race population of a small island community in Maine at the start of the 20th century. Teeming with biblical undertones, This Other Eden grapples with themes and events that humanity still struggles with to this day. Must those who are different and misunderstood be considered less than and be deprived of dignity and community? Will intolerance always reign? And so I feel like that is very Booker buzzy, and so I expect this to be on the list. The next on this list is by an author who has been nominated for the Booker before, and that is Eleanor Catton. This is her new novel, Birnam Wood, and this is kind of psychological thriller-esque and has been described here as an unflinching examination of the human impulse to ensure our own survival. It's called Birnam Wood, so obviously it has that Shakespearean aspect to it, which I think is also going to do well with the judges. Well, at least one of the judges this year is an actor, and I believe she was a Shakespearean actor at times. Don't quote me on that, but I think she was. I hope this does well. I expect it to do well. And then going on to my 9th choice then, that is Sebastian Barry's Old God's Time. This one, I believe Sebastian Barry has been nominated before. He's certainly a very well-established, well-known author. This next instalment from him is no different. It is about a retired police officer who has settled in to his retirement by the coast and gets a knock on the door by 2 of his former colleagues one day, wanting his notes, wanting his input on a cold case that they are reopening, a cold case in which he was the lead investigator on. And so it's very much dragging up memories of the past. I hope it plays with memory and forgetfulness, because this is political, it's wrapped up with the political context of the time. So this is one that I've actually started, and if it gets onto the Booker, then no doubt you'll be hearing my full thoughts and opinions on it. Now the next one is coming from Tuang Eng. This is House of Doors, and this has been released several weeks ago now, but I have not heard many people talk about it. I feel like this is one that maybe will be put onto the Booker and then will gain mass popularity as a result from there. It's kind of waiting for its catapult moment where it's going to be propelled into the Literary Hall of Fame, and this book is absolutely prime for that. The storyline that it's grappling with, the themes. This is Booker catnip if there ever was. This is actually the first book that Tuang Eng would have produced in over a decade. So this is, I imagine, a tense time for him to see if he can do this again, if his fans are still with him. I'm sure they are, and also if the Booker is still with him, because I think both of his previous novels have been Booker nominated. He was a judge on this year's International Booker for the 2023 season, so hopefully he has a place on this list. Next up, we're going to Zara Smith, and we're going into her first dive into historical fiction. So Zara Smith is a beloved author here on YouTube. She wrote White Teeth, she wrote NW, she wrote On Beauty. I believe she has been Booker nominated before, and I think she will be again with this one. This one has a September release date, but it's still within the catchment, which ends, I believe, on the 30th of September or the 1st of October. I think it's 30th of September. So that is why this one is on the list. I haven't put it in this video, but there are other books being released in September, like The Vaster Wilds by Lauren Groff, that would also qualify for this prize this year. And then finally, that brings us on to the final two books. The penultimate book that I'm going to talk to you about is The Late Americans by Brandon Taylor. I enjoyed Real Life, but I'm not a Brandon Taylor stan, and I think that his Booker nomination previously at least puts his book in front of the judges and then kind of opens that door for him to be put onto the long list. It could be that my list is totally wrong because they're going the opposite direction this year and they are celebrating and championing debut authors rather than what I've gone for, which is the vast majority well-established, prolific authors. I could have made a long list purely based off debuts, but I feel like there are some exceptional writers that have been publishing work this year. I mean, Cormac McCarthy, when do we ever get a Cormac McCarthy book? Tuang Eng, his first book in 10 years. You know, Barbara Kingsolver, Salman Rushdie, these are all big names who have books that are all going to be clashing in this 2023 prize. It's almost like Clash of the Titans. You have some of the biggest names that I can think of in literature. So finally then, for that last place, it is a debut novel. This is Hungry Ghosts. Now this is on the list because it has impressed some important people. This is by Kevin Jared Hussein, and it says here, from an unforgettable new voice in Caribbean literature, a sweeping story of two families colliding in 1940s Trinidad, and a chilling mystery that shows how interconnected their lives really are. So with that, that takes us to the end of this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As you can probably tell, I am incredibly enthusiastic about book prizes in general, but especially the Booker. It may be my favourite prize of the year. You can expect all my usual content. Subscribe to this channel if you want any sort of book content. I will be rolling it out over this summer periodically. The content is planned, it's ready to go. I am waiting with bated breath to see what is going to be on this long list. I look forward to watching everybody else's prediction videos on BookTube. This community that I have come to this year has been nothing but a joy. This will be my first Booker season on YouTube, so that's very exciting for me. As always, guys, I will see you in the next video very soon. Bye for now.